Okay.
So today we are going to discuss about the famous personalities who contributed in the time of troubles. My name is Rutuja Sakharkar.
I am Rutuja Mandre.
I'm Teju Singhana.
My name is Mukul Sharma. So today I'd like to start with the two special persons of Russia, Kuzama Mini and Dmitry Puzarsky. So Dmitry Puzarsky, his full name was Dmitry Mikhailovich Puzarsky, and he was born Russian, and he was born in 17th of October 1577, and he was died in 30 April 1642. And he was a Russian prince known for his military leadership during the Polish Moscow War from 1611 to 1612. Puzarsky formed the second voluntary army with the Kuzma Minin in the Nizhny Novgorod, and he fought this war against the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and the occupation of the Russian during the time of trouble. So this fight was result in the Polish withdrawal after the Russian victory. At this time, this battle was held in the Battle of Moscow, and it was around 1612. And Puzarsky after this war, Puzarsky received the title and the name the Swarvos of the motherland, and it was all from the Milka first of the Russia. After this, he became a folk hero in the Russian culture, and honored a monument in the Moscow that we all know that it is in a Red Square. It is of two peoples, that Minin and it's also known as the Minin and the Puzarsky monument. It's in a Red Square, and they made a great influence and a great work in the struggle of the independence. By this time of Russian popular independence and integrate against the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, where they shows a bravery in the Polish army, and they worked and the criminal behavior of and it was all happened due to the criminal behavior of the Polish army, and so the loss of the support among the poor Polish faction of the Russian border classes. So the due to the action of the king Sigmund III. After that, the Porko Ludovich, who was the first voluntary of the army of Russia, and with him, the Puzarsky was joined and promoted this cause. So they took part in this war, and in this what we can say it's independence culture time. So after 19 March 11, while he was defending his horse, he got wounded, and in the Lubanska Square, and he was transported to his defendants, and all this I think shows the Red Square monument. Now we should know about the Battle of the Moscow. He also had a great part in the Battle of Moscow. Finally, after the independence of the Trevilian in 18 August 1612, he volunteered the army of incorporated with the five ventures from the Moscow, and after that, he passes the time when the Hetman Khodovich arrived, and with the prevision of the life of Czar's Polish guardians in the Moscow Kremlin. He got a very next day warmth. So the Polski advised to arrive to the gate of the city, and after the 2 days later, he engaged with the Polanski's contingent of the 4 days. So this battle was about 4 days battle. So this outcome, when we got the outcome of this war, it was a small part due to the discussion action of the Pozharsky ally, and Prince Dmitry. The Prince Dmitry was the Chubarkyo, and now who captured the previous intents and poles of the quadrates in the Kharmini. So as a result, in this, the famine broke out, and among the Pole, and they had stranded to the Pozharsky, and after that, the Chubarsky in the October, Chubarsko in the October, after the beginning of the Great End, they saved the passage of the human treatments. So he was a great soldier of Dmitry Pozharsky, and the Kuzam Minin observed the obligation, but the Dmitry to Moscow Cossacks attacked the prisoner and robbed them and killed the many of the prisoners. So this was the great journey of them, and they were both two great peoples of the Russia. So now I would like to continue with now I'd like to say to continue the Stephen's Race. So can please just continue it.
So now I am going to tell about Stefan Razin, who was against the Russian government but has contributed a very main part in the time of troubles of Russia. Stefan was born on 1630 and died on 1671. He is considered as one of the 4 great rebels who were born from 1600 to 1700. Stefan Trevosher Razin, who is also known as Stenka Razin, originated from Zimowsky Stansica and was born to an old Klasicist family that lived on the Don River. He was born a leader who understood all the problems of his subject and served his subjects with destination and respect. He was against the Russian government as his brother was executed from the Russian army for not obeying the laws. He established his base of operations on an island at the head of the Turk River, which allowed him to intercept merchant ships bound at the Russia by the Turkish. The Russian conquered Delblat, Yatsky, and also many small settlements which were commercial along the western shore from Derbent south to Baku. As Stefan and his army was attacked by the Prussians, he resumed the attack on the 1669 along the eastern coast among the settlement of the Turken population of the Central Asia, which is regarded as one of the biggest victories of the Russian army over the Caspian Sea. He faced many disorders and attacks while returning to Volga by the Russian Empire. In May 1670, he defeated the government troops sent from Astrakhan and Moscow. In September 1670, the army of Razin approached Simbirsk and led a month's siege with 4 successful assaults. Yablonsk forces captured Stenka Razin in May and brought him and his brother in a rib cage to Moscow. His murder was threatening. He was executed in a red square, and his hands and limbs were detached from the body and mounted on stacks, and the rest of the body was fed to dogs. In spite of anathesis by the Russian Orthodox Church, the name of Stenka Razin became an enduring promise of relief to the oppressed. Although his attempt to gain greater freedom for the crush has the opposite effect, the Matern hero whose memory was immortalized in folklore was Stenka Razin. Stenka Razin became the champion of poor, the Russian Robin Hood, a legend among the people. So now I would ask my friend to continue.
I am going to say about Yerofey Khabora. Yerofey Pavlovich Khabora was a Russian entrepreneur and adventurer, best known for his exploring the Amur River region and his attempts to colonize the area for Russia. The major Russian city of Khabarovsk, as well as the small town and railway station Yerofey Pavlovich, located on the Trans-Siberian Railroad in Amur Oblast, bear his name. A native of the Veliki Ustyug area in the northern European Russia, Khabarov was a manager for the Stroganovs at the salt works in Solvychegodsk. In 1625, Khabarov sailed from Tobolsk to Mangazaya. 3 years later, he left the town with his expedition and reached the Kheta River, eastern part of Timur. In 1630, Khabarov took part in the voyage from Magazaya to Tobolsk. In 1632 to 1641, he reached the Lena River and founded a farming settlement with saltworks along the Lena at the mouths of the Kuta and Kirenga rivers. Now his descendants live in Stavropol. First expedition was from 1649 to 1650. In 1649, he became the second Russian to explore the Amur after Vasily Poyarkov. Poyarkov's route up to Alden River was too difficult to be practical. At some point, Khabarov attempted to reach the Amur via the Vitim River. In 1647, a hunter returned to Yakutsk from the Olyokma River and reported that this might lead to the Amur. In the spring of 1649, Khabarov set off at his own expense up to Olyokma River, then its branch, the Tungur and Potak, to the Shilka River. Reaching to the Upper Amur in early 1650, he found the country nearly deserted, the Cossacks' reputation having preceded them. Having pioneered a good route, he returned to Yakutsk in May 1650 and gave his report. He praised the land, warned of the danger of Chinese intervention, and suggested a larger expedition with the professional soldiers. Second expedition was from 1650 to 1653. Given the time delays in communicating with Moscow, the Yakutsk voivode Franz Bekov decided to act on his own and send Khabarov back south with a larger force. The voivode also gave Khabarov letters from His Majesty Tsar Alexis to the Dorian Prince Lavkai of Elbasan and Prince Bogdoi, asking those potentates to submit the Russian Tsar and threatening to send a 6,000 strong army if they don't obey. Franz Bekov assumed that this Prince Bogdo was another Siberian chieftain. He was in fact the Emperor of China. Khabarov crossed the mountains in the fall of 1650 and this time was met with armed resistance. He built winter quarters at Elbasan at the northernmost point of the Amur. After receiving reinforcement in June 1651, he set off down the Amur. By September, they reached the mouth of the Sungari. By 29 September, they reached Akans near present-day Khabarovsk and decided to winter there. On 8 October, they were attacked by about 1,000 local people who been defeated appeal to the Manchu overlords. On March 24, 1652, a force of 2,000 Manchus and Koreans armed with artillery arrived from Ninkuta and attacked Akans. Khabarov somehow managed to defeat them. Not knowing how many more Chinese were in the area, on 22 April, he withdrew up the Amur. At one point, he encountered another force of 6,000 Chinese, but was able to slip around them under cover of fog and darkness. Further upstream, he met a force of 117 Cossacks who had been sent as reinforcement. He learned from a captive that a new Manchu army was being gathered on the Sungari. On August 1st, he reached the mouth of the Zeya. Here, 136 of his men mutinied, leaving only 212 loyal. From the Zeya, he sent a report to the Yakuts void matter of factly describing the burning of villages, slaughter of natives and the torture of prisoners. From this point, the English sources become unclear. They apparently wintered at the Zeya. In the fall of 1653, 150 reinforcements under Dmitry Zinoviev appeared. As a nobleman, Zinoviev demanded full command. When Khabarov refused, he was arrested. Unable to gain the support of Khabarov's men and having no adequate way to deal with the Manchus, Zinoviev and part of the force withdrew from the Amur. Onufry Stefano was left in charge of those who remained. Khabarov was deprived of his rank and property and was sent on a 15-month journey to Moscow to be tried. After a year's delay, he was acquitted. He was given a minor noble rank on the condition that he returned to Siberia. He reappears again in the records in 1658 when the Siberian office ordered that he be placed in irons if he refused to guide a new expedition to the Amur. After that, he disappears from the records. He died in 1671. Thank you. Now I ask Rituja to continue.
So today I'm going to tell you about Ivan Suzanin. The date of birth of Ivan Suzanin is unknown, and he died in 1613. Ivan Suzanin was a Russian national hero and the martyr of the early 17th century, the times of troubles. At the time of the troubles, when the Tsar Ivan the Terrible died in 1584, the state was plunged into a period of the unrest and invasion called the time of the troubles. The Suzanin legend became a cornerstone of the craziest propaganda in early 19th century. The Ivan Suzanin was proclaimed a Russian national hero and a symbol of a Russian parents' devotion to the Tsar. His actions were glorified in the literature and music and inspiring the first Russian opera, A Life for the Tsar, that premiered in 1836. While some historians question the truth of the story, many others support it, though its historical reliability may be debated. The legend lives on, even if over the year it has taken on a different meaning. Ivan's son Fedor I died childless, and a string of would-be successors battled it out for the throne. Some of those claiming power were supported by the ambitious Polish king Sigismund III. Sigismund dreamed of conquering all the Russia, and in 1610, taking advantage of the chaos in the country, his army captured Moscow. His son proclaimed, but Sigismund wanted the throne for himself. Beginning of the Roman dynasty. In 1612, the Russian army managed to expel the Poles. Exhausted by the turmoil, the following year, the noble Charles Mikhail Romanov, one of the closest surviving relatives of the Russia and the royal family of the Tsar. Romanov dynasty was to rule Russia for the next 300 years until 1917. The revolution brought the end of the Tsarist state. Yet some Polish troops were still roaming the country, and the supported Sigismund, who refused to accept defeat, and still laid claim to Russian throne. The Poles set out to kill the newly chosen Tsar, who was hiding by some accounts in the village, by others in a monastery. A life for the Tsar. Legend has it that a local peasant, Ivan Suzanin, promised to guide them to the hideout. Instead, the led Polish armies deep into the marshy woods and perished together with the solid. Meanwhile, Suzanin's grandson was secretly sent ahead via a different route, warning the Mikhail Romanov, who was concealed from the further Polish raids by the monks. Mikhail went on the crown Tsar and ruled Russia for 32 years. Nowadays, the name Suzanin has become an ironic insult and used to describe a person who claimed to know the way, but who eventually get lost and leads you to the wrong places. Thank you.